Chapter 1321, Noob Alley. They definitely had to provide for Ding Jiyi's and Qiao Dongling's old age. Zai Sheng might despise his mother-in-law, but he had never thought of keeping the money and shirking his responsibility of taking care of them. If Ding Jiyi did not bring up this topic today, he might give her more money for the sake that she was being honest and she did not make any more trouble for Nan Nan. However, Ding Jiyi brought it up today and said such harsh words. She even said that she was preparing for rainy days. It was such a joke. Since Ding Jiyi did not give due respect to their feelings, it was up to them to decide how they wanted to provide for her in the future. It was one thing to provide for their basic needs, making sure that they were fed and clothed, and another thing to take good care of them, financially and mentally. In the end, it was up to the children to decide how they wanted to provide for their parents. In the past, Ding Jiyi had no chance of enjoying life in her old age. Now that she had said such harsh words, Zai Sheng decided that he would make sure that she was only provided with the bare minimum. Qiao Nan took a deep breath. Zai Sheng gripped her hands, giving her support, and she tightened her grip. She had never discussed how she should provide for her parents when they were old. This was indeed a problem. It would be awkward if she brought it up. Now that her mother visited her and did not care to maintain her dignity, Qiao Nan could not be bothered to show respect for her feelings. I agree with Brother Zai. I share the same sentiments with him. I am your daughter. I will fulfill my duty as your child until the end. Of course, she would take care of them until they passed away. Qiao Zijin and I are your daughters. Regardless of whether Qiao Zijin marries into another family or takes in a husband, the two of us will be responsible for providing for you. We will share the responsibility equally, including medical fees and more. Biological brothers will make sure that the accounts are right, notwithstanding Qiao Zijin and me. All the living expenses will be taken into account. When one is old, one will need to see the doctor. By then, if Dad and Mom go to the hospital, you can pass the receipt to me and I will pay for half of the medical bills. Qiao Nan was not foolish. She would not take care of Qiao Dongliang and Ding Jiyi by herself like what she did in the previous life. Whenever they needed money, she would be the only one who paid for their expenses. Since they had 2 children, it was just nice. They could divide all the expenses into half. No one would take advantage of the other party. But Zijin is still in school. She doesn't have any money. This was not the outcome that Ding Jiyi hoped to see. Of course, she wished that her elder daughter would provide for her. But the elder daughter would not marry as well as the younger daughter. She would not be able to provide much for her. The younger daughter was different. She could provide her with more allowance and she would be able to lead a good life in Pingcheng. Nan Nan is also a student. Zai Sheng smirked. Ding Jiyi was indeed shameless. She did not even try to hide her greediness. She was indeed the hero among the other evil people. Ding Jiyi opened her mouth and was about to say that it was different. Zijin would not marry as well as Qiao Nan. Although Qiao Nan was a student and she did not have any money, the Zai family had lots of money. She did not care if Qiao Nan supported her using her hard-earned money or the money from the Zai family. Ding Jiyi was indeed shameless to come up with such an idea. But she dared not voice out her thoughts. In fact, Ding Jiyi did not want Qiao Nan to provide for her. She was hoping that the Zai family would provide for her. Ding Jiyi would not be contented with whatever that she had. Although Qiao Nan had no idea what was on her mind, she could tell from her behavior in the previous life what Ding Jiyi was capable of. Qiao Nan ignored Ding Jiyi and turned to Qiao Dongliang, who was silent all the while. Dad, whatever I said just now applies to you as well. Qiao Dongliang forced a smile on his face. You are a good child. This has never been my concern. Nan Nan, you don't have to worry about me. The country is developing very well. I heard that there will be a pension in the future. I am still young. I can work. I will work harder now to save money for the future. He had no wish to be a burden to his children. There was no need for his children to provide for him. He did not wish to become Nan Nan's burden when she was still so young. Dad, I understand. Xiao Nan believed that Xiao Dongliang never had such thoughts. However, we need to discuss and come to an agreement so that we will know what to do in the future and we will not end up in a quarrel when the time comes. Xiao Zijin and I are students. We can't make any money at the moment. By the time we start to work, we will still face the same problem. It is better to talk about it earlier. Even if we do not talk about it today and postpone it to some other day, we might end up in a stiffer mood than today. They would have to deal with it sooner or later. Therefore, it was better to talk about it now than to feel upset about it in the future. Xiao Nan looked toward Xiao Zijin. Xiao Zijin, what do you think of my suggestion? Do you have anything that you want to add or change? Xiao Zijin did not expect that Ding Ji, who had a talk with her previously, would change her mind and catch her off guard. There was no way for her to salvage the situation. Her good attitude and endurance were all for nothing. Xiao Zijin felt anger boiling inside her. She remembered that Chen Jun brought her to Beijing 2 years ago during summer break. He barely stayed for 2 days before he insisted on returning to Pingcheng. After returning to Pingcheng, he was determined to break up with her despite all the money that he had spent on her previously. She finally understood why Chen Jun insisted on breaking up with her back then. One was not afraid of a strong competitor but of a noob ally. She and Xiao Nan were on bad terms. There was no way that they could salvage their relationship. After completing 2 internships, Xiao Zijin had a clearer idea of the society as compared to when she was still in school. It was harsh and brutal. Even if she worked industriously for 10 years, it was not as useful as one word from the Zai family. After breaking up with Chen Jun and going through all the hardships in the past 1 year, Xiao Zijin finally calmed down and thought seriously about her relationship with Xiao Nan as well as what she should do in the future. She had decided to resign to fate. She still hated Xiao Nan. She was far superior to Xiao Nan from a young age. But Xiao Nan married well when she grew up and she would have no way of doing better than her. However, she had no wish of making things difficult for herself. Although she was not on good terms with Xiao Nan, at least, she would not make things to be too awkward in front of other people. She hated that Xiao Nan married well and led a better life than her. But she knew that Xiao Nan was just as annoyed that she made use of their relationship to take advantage of her. She was happy to know that Xiao Nan was annoyed. Since Xiao Nan disliked the fact that she behaved affectionately to her, all the more would she make use of their relationship to make sure that she led a better life. Chapter 1322 became smarter. Xiao Zijin had made up her mind. Since she had arrived in the capital, no matter how the Zai family treated her, she would be all smiles. Given that Ding Ji would make snide remarks from time to time, Xiao Zijin, who was well behaved, stood out from Ding Ji. It showed that she was much more sensible than Ding Ji. Xiao Nan and the Zai family could not be rid of the Xiao family. She believed that Xiao Nan and the Zai family would be glad that there was someone sensible who was well aware of her position in the Xiao family. If she and her mother continued to make a din, although they would not affect the Zai family, it would not look good on the Zai family. Xiao Nan and the Zai family would be glad that she no longer made trouble for them and she did not encourage her mother to go against Xiao Nan. Since she helped Xiao Nan and the Zai family, they should return the favor. Xiao Zijin had finally overcome her own difficulties, to do what Chen Jun had asked her to do but she failed to do back then. However, after the mess that Ding Ji created, Xiao Zijin's efforts had gone down the drain. Ding Ji was oblivious to what was happening around her and she would only drag her own teammates down. She was a noob ally. Xiao Zijin was so furious at Ding Ji. There was a look of resentment in her eyes. Xiao Zijin was well aware of her position. She knew that she could not be fearless or arrogant in front of Xiao Nan. If she did that, it would be doing herself in. She could not be bothered that Ding Ji wanted to dig her own grave, but she must not drag her down with her. She was her biological mother. Xiao Zijin, who had no way of stopping Ding Ji, could only watch helplessly as she ruined her future. Given how Ding Ji behaved, Xiao Zijin had no wish to provide for such a mother like her or for her to enjoy her life in her old age. What's wrong? Xiao Nan noticed that Xiao Zijin's countenance had changed. She knew what was going on in Xiao Zijin's mind. It was true that she had married well. However, even if she had not married well or she was still single, Xiao Zijin had never thought of providing for her parents. Xiao Zijin could not wait for her to take care of their parents by herself. In the previous life, Xiao Zijin married Chen Jun and led an easy life as a wealthy man's wife. Despite this, she was not willing to buy good food for her aged parents. Right now, it was still uncertain whether Xiao Zijin would marry a man who was better than Chen Jun. It was tantamount to cutting a part of her flesh to ask her to bear half of her parents' expenses. However, everyone was staring at her, and Xiao Zijin noticed that her father seemed to be casting odd glances at her. She could not help but break out in a sweat in the cold weather. She was left with no other choice. Dad and Mom went through a lot of hardships to provide for us. We have grown up, so it's right for us to take care of them. It is a good idea to share the responsibility. Xiao Dongliang, who had been silent all the while, spoke up. It is not easy indeed. At times, whether the children provide for the parents or not will have to depend on whether they have a conscience. Luckily, there is this law in the country that says that if the children refuse to provide for the family, they will be sent to jail. Nan Nan got married when she is very young. She is shortchanged as we spent less money on her while she has to provide for us. Zijin, don't you think so? Xiao Zijin stiffened and her face turned green. She did not understand what her father meant by that. Her father treated Xiao Nan very well. He must not be targeting Xiao Nan. If so, his words must be directed toward her. But why? Went to court and sent to jail? Was her father saying that if she did not provide for them in the future, he would send her to court? With this thought in mind, Xiao Zijin, who wore a knitted cotton top, was drenched in a cold sweat. Xiao Dongliang knew his daughter best. From her expression, he knew that his guess was correct. His elder daughter intended to agree first since everyone was present. But she might not provide for them when the time came. By then, she had the money with her. It was up to her whether she provided for them or not. Apart from Xiao Zijin herself, no one could do anything about it. He and old Ding could not possibly take her money from her. It did not occur to Xiao Dongliang that if it was Xiao Nan, he would never do that to her. But Ding Ji was capable of that. Now that the subject was Xiao Zijin, Ding Ji behaved like any other parent. She would not do that to Xiao Zijin. In short, Xiao Zijin only said those words to please her parents. She did not intend to take out her money to support her parents. Xiao Zijin had been behaving very well. However, she did not turn over a new leaf. It was just that she had become smarter and more selfish than before. As long as it was useful to her future, it was not a problem to smile at Xiao Nan. When she was doing her internship, she had to put on a smile in front of strangers. There were many times where she was scolded by them. Compared to her internship, she only needed to watch her mouth in front of Xiao Nan and not to spout nonsense like her mother so as not to ruin her future. If she did that, the Zai family would help put in a word for her and she would become the person whom others had to please. Xiao Dongliang did not really understand Xiao Zijin. But he never believed that Xiao Zijin had really turned over a new leaf. Unless the elder daughter was reborn, she would not change her selfish personality. To Xiao Zijin's surprise, not only did her mother spoil her plan, but her father also made ambiguous statements. She could not help but break out in cold sweat. Dad is right. Mom, since Nan Nan has said so, you should not worry about me. I will settle my own problems. Xiao Zijin was given a fright by Xiao Dongliang. She no longer harbored the hope that the Zai family would agree to help her with her job today. If they continued, not only would the Zai family disagree to help her to find a better job, but they might not welcome her due to her mother's behavior as well. Moreover, Xiao Zijin was on tenterhooks due to Xiao Dongliang's behavior. She did not expect that her parents, who should be her biggest support, ended up as her stumbling block at the crucial moment. She could not help but break out in a cold sweat. If she had a favor to ask of the Zai family, it was better for her to make the trip by herself. Chen Jun used to tell her that as Qiao Nan's elder sister, as long as she did not create any trouble for Qiao Nan and was polite toward her despite being given the cold treatment, she would have a good life ahead. Qiao Nan might hate her to the core, but she could make use of the fact she was the elder sister of the Zai family's daughter-in-law to have a smoother life than other people. Chen Jun taught Xiao Zijin a lot of lessons as he hoped that his family would benefit from it. It was a pity that when he was with Xiao Zijin, she did not understand what he was saying no matter how he explained to her. Now that they had broken up, he did not need to say another word, and Xiao Zijin became smarter and knew what she should do. Chapter 1323 Good Hearing. Ding Jiyi had a look of displeasure at being told off by Xiao Dongliang and Xiao Zijin. She knew that her husband and elder daughter were not as nice to her as before. Since Xiao Zijin was no longer close to her, Ding Jiyi would love herself instead. She would not stop until she had an answer from Qiao Nan. However, Ding Jiyi, who was ill-disciplined and out of control in front of Qiao Nan, did not dare to misbehave in front of a cold and indifferent Zai Sheng. Perhaps Ding Jiyi was evil-natured or Zai Sheng exuded a righteous aura, but whenever Ding Jiyi saw her son-in-law, she could not help but feel a chill down her spine, spreading to her entire body. She could not understand why she was so fearful of Zai Sheng. Now that Zai Sheng was around, she could not do anything to Qiao Nan. When Zai Sheng left, Qiao Nan had to agree to all her requests. With the arrival of the Qiao family, the Zai family who was in a happy mood became out of sorts. During the period that the Qiao family was there, the triplets gradually accepted that their grandfather whom they saw for the first time was their relative and was the father of their beloved mother. Under Qiao Nan's help, Xiao Dongliang was allowed to play with the triplets. As for Ding Jiyi and Xiao Zijin, they did not make any improvements. The Zai family was very polite to Ding Jiyi and Xiao Zijin. They did not ask them to help out at all. They were not being treated as guests at the Zai family's residence. Actually, it was not a matter of whether the Zai family treated them with courtesy or not. It was that they were very distant to them. Zai Sheng, I am getting married tomorrow. Nan will keep me company today. You can sleep in the study room. Tonight was the eve of her wedding. Previously, Zai Hua, who had been eating as per normal and felt relaxed about her upcoming wedding, seemed to be nervous. There is no room for negotiation. Zai Sheng's expression turned cold. Why must I sleep in the study room? Was she saying that he could not hug his wife to sleep and he could not even return to his own room? No matter what, he still had the triplets with him in the room. Zai Hua sounded bold and righteous. Nan has to take care of the triplets. Besides, they will definitely refuse to sleep with you. If Zai Hua wanted Qiao Nan to accompany her, it meant that the triplets would share the same room as them. She could ask Qiao Nan to come to her bedroom, but she could not bear that the triplets had to sleep in a room that they were not familiar with. As the best auntie in China, Zai Hua would accommodate the triplets, taking their preferences as the top priority. Therefore, she sent Zai Sheng out of the room. Since he was her brother, he had to be sent away to make way for her. What she did was for Zai Sheng to feel that he was needed and that he had a purpose in life. Miao Jing thought about it. Fine, I will sleep with you tonight as well. She would be marrying off her daughter tomorrow. Apart from feeling happy for her, now that the moment had arrived, Miao Jing's heart ached. She could not bear to part with her daughter. Hua might provoke her, refused to listen to her, and behaved bullishly, but she was her only daughter. After she was married, she was not only her daughter but would be someone else's daughter-in-law as well. Zai Yaoi's expression darkened. He was implicated for no reason. He could not help but interrupt. Hua Hua is nervous. It is normal for her to want to talk to Nan Nan, who is around her age. With Nan Nan around, you can be assured. There is no need for you to join in the fun. Tomorrow is her big day. You must have a good night's sleep today. You will be very busy tomorrow. He was no longer young. Since his wife was at home, it was ridiculous for him to sleep by himself. Zai Yai loved his wife very much. It would be very upsetting that they stayed under the same roof but could not share a bed. He felt displeased that he could not hug his wife to sleep or have other intentions. Zai Yai could not be bothered with Zai Sheng. He remembered that when he and Miaojing quarreled back then, as long as they stayed in the same house, they would share the same bed. It was absurd for him to stay in another room now that he was older. As for his son and daughter-in-law, it was good for the youngsters to sleep separately occasionally. It would bring them closer. It was fine that his son slept by himself, but why should he have the same fate? Meow meow, stop fooling around. If the triplets learn about it, they will laugh at you. San Bao, who was the fastest at picking up new words, heard a new word. She repeated the word that she heard. Meow meow. Who was that? She did not know such a person. Was the person in the house? This was not the first time that Zai Yai addressed Miaojing as meow meow. Zai Yai had been using this form of address since their marriage. However, now that they had the triplets with them, Miaojing asked that Zai Yai addressed her as grandma. She would feel ashamed when she was called by her pet name. True enough, when her granddaughter used her pet name, Miaojing did not feel good. Of course, Miaojing directed all her anger towards Zai Yai. Her granddaughter was not at fault. What do you mean by that? Are you saying that Nan Nan is young while I am old? Therefore, I don't have the right to accompany Hua Hua on the day before she gets married. Women were particularly angry when people said that they were old, especially when it was said by their other half. It was tantamount to asking for a fight. Miaojing knew that Zai Yai meant no harm. He was merely upset that she forsook him to accompany her daughter and he had to spend the night by himself. But Miaojing was infuriated when Zai Yai used her pet name, and as a result, her granddaughter picked up the word and kept saying it. She lost her temper at Zai Yai. Yes, I am old and haggard. I am not as young and as fresh as the young ladies outside. It must be hard on you. If so, I will accompany Nan Nan tonight and you can be freed of me. Nan Nan, is Hua Hua done with her dinner? Let's bring the triplets back to the room to sleep. San Bao was swept away by her grandma who was boiling with anger. She looked startled as she had no idea what was happening. Her grandma was laughing in one instant and she turned angry and scolded grandpa in the next instant. San Bao was curious. She put her hands around Miaojing's neck and muttered in her baby voice. Grandma, don't be angry. Smile, pretty. Grandma, naughty grandpa. Smack his bottom. What San Bao wanted to say was that her grandma must not be angry. She would look prettier if she smiled. Grandma, was it that grandpa was being disobedient? Should he be given a smack on the bottom? The son, father, and grandfather in the Zai family were being left behind in the living room. Old Master Zai, who was the oldest among them and had good hearing, could hear how his great-granddaughter was scolding his son in her baby voice. Zai Yai was younger than Old Master Zai and he was fitter than him. He could hear every single word that his granddaughter said clearly. Chapter 1324 Experience Counts. Zai Sheng felt much better that Zai Yai was lectured by his wife and laughed at by his granddaughter. He said lightly, Dad, you should keep your wife in check and discipline your daughter. They must not keep coming after Nan Nan. Tiandong would be getting married to Zai Hua tomorrow. It was not his wedding with Nan Nan. There was no need for him to stay in a separate room from his wife on the eve of the wedding. Things had come to this state because Zai Yai did not control his wife and discipline his daughter. Zai Sheng, who had to spend the night by himself, was full of grievances, and he directed his anger at his father for not controlling his wife and daughter, and he ended up being separated from his wife. Zai Yayawai sneered. One is your mom while the other is your sister. If you are capable, you can take your wife away from them. The room is yours. You can also choose to drive them out of your room. If his son managed to do that, he would have his wife back as well. Old Master Zai touched his beard while his son bickered with his grandson. When his wife was still around, he doted on her and she would have her way with him. This seemed to be the good tradition of the men in the Zai family. Although there were very few women in the Zai family, all of them were treated like empresses. Old Master Zai knew that no matter how his son and grandson bickered with each other, they could do nothing with the 3 women in the family. Old Master Zai could not be bothered with them. He snorted. 2 fools. One was his son while the other was his grandson. He was too embarrassed to say anything. After the old master left, Zai Yayawai and Zai Sheng could not stand the sight of each other. To Zai Yayawai, Zai Sheng's sister and wife kidnapped his wife. To Zai Sheng, Zai Yayawai's wife and daughter kidnapped the mother of his children. They were glad that both of them were in the same predicament and they had to sleep by themselves. Zai Yayawai and Zai Sheng did not know that old Master Zai was the happiest of all. Ever since his wife passed away, he had been sleeping by himself for more than 10 years. His son and grandson only had to sleep by themselves for a night, yet they were full of complaints. The men in the Zai family spent the night in frustration. The next day, they made a unanimous decision. Today, they would make sure that the other man suffered as well. The fleet of bridal cars from the Tian family arrived at the Zai family early in the morning. Tian Dong, who wore a suit, looked energized as he walked into the Zai family's residence. The men in the Zai family saw the wide smile on his face and found the smile to be very ugly. It was because this ugly man wanted to marry Hua Hua that they did not have a good sleep yesterday night. Zai Yayawai and Zai Sheng could not stand the sight of Tian Dong, especially the foolish smile that he had. One of them was his father-in-law, while the other was his brother-in-law. Since they wanted to make Tian Dong pay for it, there was no way that Tian Dong could avoid being punished by them. By the time Tian Dong passed the tests that were so much harder than the tests Zai Sheng went through when he married Xiao Nan back then, he was exhausted and drained of all energy. He was weak in his arms and knees that he almost could not carry his bride and bring her back with him. Many guests could not help but tease him. Some of them enjoyed watching the fun and provoked him. Tian Dong, should we ask the bride to carry the groom back home instead? Zai Hua, who felt nervous initially, laughed loudly at this situation and relaxed. Sure. Dongzi, shall I carry you instead? All of the guests today were close friends of the Zai family. They had a close relationship with the Zai family. They knew Zai Hua since a young age and they knew that she was a tomboy. Otherwise, they would not have cracked such a joke. Since everyone knew her well, Zai Hua relaxed and behaved like herself. She was unlike the other brides who were shy and awkward. It was all right that his relatives and friends laughed at him, but he could not take it that his wife joined in the fun as well. Tian Dong, who was tortured by his father-in-law and brother-in-law, gritted his teeth and used all his might to carry Zai Hua, who was about 55 kilograms, downstairs. Many people let out catcalls when Tian Dong carried Zai Hua in his arms. The noise was so deafening that the roof might be lifted away. Luckily, Xiao Nan had foresight. She remembered what happened when she got married and she knew that the people upstairs would be up to a lot of tricks. Therefore, she stayed downstairs with the triplets and their grandparents. Even so, the triplets were intrigued by the catcalls and howls coming from upstairs. They could not help but look upward to check what was going on. Old Master Zai noticed that the triplets were not frightened by the loud sounds but were bursting with curiosity instead. Although San Bao was a young lady, she was not timid at all. Old Master Zai glanced at Xiao Nan, his granddaughter-in-law with a look of satisfaction on his face. What he was most satisfied with was that not only did she give them triplets but she was also sensible and mature despite her young age. She gave birth to triplets and taught them well. Although his grandson seldom spent time with them, they did not become sensitive and timid from the lack of their father's accompaniment. Back when he took care of his grandson and granddaughter, they were not as brave and daring when they were at the same age as the triplets. Old Master Zai could tell that by the time the triplets grew up, the Zai family would be doing as good as their current situation or even better than what they were now. The future of the family depended on the children. The younger generations had to do well in order for the family to thrive and prosper forever. While old Master Zai was zoning out, Tiandong had already carried Zai Hua downstairs. Miaojing and Zai Yaowai were already seated and 2 cushions were placed in front of them. Tiandong and Zai Hua knelt on the cushions. Zai Hua was bidding her farewell to her parents. Dongzi, Hua is used to being willful. She is my only daughter. I will leave her in your hands. In the future, you must be good to Hua. You must not bully her, understand? Hua, after getting married, you will be an adult. You must be sensible. As a married couple, it will not work for one party to keep giving in to the other. The couple must learn to forgive and show tolerance to each other. Do you understand? Miaojing turned teary-eyed as her daughter was getting married. She had tears in her eyes, but she maintained a smile as she wanted to send her daughter off happily. She had finally waited for this day where her daughter got married. She believed that her daughter would lead a good life at her in-laws' house. 1325 Uncle is a baddie. Tiandong and Zai Hua nodded. Tiandong also gave his solemn promise to his in-laws. Dad, Mom, you can rest assured that Hua and I will lead a happy life. I will never cause concern and worry for you. I am a man. It's all right that I give in more to Hua. Dad, Mom, I will visit you often with Hua in the future. Zai Hua's eyes turned red. Her voice was choked up and her eyes were brimming with tears. No matter what her parents or Tiandong said, she kept nodding, promising that she would make sure that she do that. Miaojing smiled even though she was in tears. All right, today is a good day. We should not be crying. It is rare that my daughter is dressed up and dolled up so nicely. If you cry, the makeup will be ruined. Hua, you must be happy in the future. Sure, Mom. Zai Hua only managed to say 2 words before her voice turned hoarse from stifling her tears. It was old Master Zai's turn to drink the tea offered by his granddaughter and her husband. All right, the 2 of you must lead a good life in the future. This is more useful than saying nice words or making promises to me. Old Master Zai did not say much. He had a stern expression when he looked at Tiandong. He was warning him silently that if Tiandong dared to bully Hua from the Zai family, he must be prepared to be dealt with harshly by the men in the Zai family. Tiandong understood old Master Zai's warning. He smiled bitterly and nodded seriously in his direction. He made a promise with old Master Zai that he would never bully Zai Hua. Old Master Zai was hale and hearty despite the years, and his father-in-law and brother-in-law had the means and the power. There was no way that he could go against them. All the men in the Zai family were ready to defend and protect Hua. He would never dare to bully her. Besides, he loved her so much he could not wait to lavish her with love and attention. Tiandong wiped the beads of perspiration off his forehead. After going through all the challenges and tests, he had finally married his wife and she was seated in the bridal car, getting ready to go back home with him. Auntie. Sanbao was puzzled. Why did someone carry her auntie away? Will she be back? Xiaonan caressed her daughter's cheeks, while she looked at Dabao and Bao who were stopped by Zai Sheng. They dashed around like 2 tiger cubs. Your auntie is getting married. Have you forgotten that the man is your uncle? I have taught you to address him as uncle. Sanbao did not understand what marriage was. Auntie belongs here. She was her auntie and should stay with them in the house. Dabao and Bao could not be bothered with who the auntie belonged to. They only knew that their auntie was their relative. The man who was their uncle was a baddie and he took their auntie to the car. They had to bring their auntie back. Otherwise, what would happen when their auntie cried when she was being bullied? Thankfully, Zai Sheng was quick to stop his sons who had a bad temper. Otherwise, Tiandong would have to appease De Bao and Er Bao before he could get his wife. The problem was De Bao and Er Bao were still very young. They would not listen to reason or behave themselves after receiving red packets. They had no idea what money was. They were well fed and clothed. To them, no amount of paper notes could compare to their auntie who would play with them at home. Zai Sheng knew that his sons had a fierce temper. Therefore, he kept a tight watch on them. He only wanted to teach a lesson to Tiandong who kidnapped Zai Hua. He wanted Tiandong to understand it was not that easy to kidnap the women in the Zai family. However, it had never crossed his mind to make Zai Hua stay single all her life and not to have children of her own. After all, if Zai Hua was to spend all her life at home, he would be the one who suffered. He did not wish that what happened yesterday would happen again. He was at home, but his wife and his children had to entertain his sister, and he had to spend the night alone by himself, as if he was a jilted husband. If he looked at it that way, he had to thank Tiandong for marrying Zai Hua so that he could be rid of Zai Hua, the troublemaker. Therefore, Zai Sheng had to keep a watch on De Bao and Er Bao on behalf of Tiandong so that they would not make a din and stop Tiandong from marrying Zai Hua today. If so, he would end up going hungry and suffering. De Bao and Er Bao were stopped by their father. Although the two tiger cubs might be strong, they could never escape from Zai Sheng, the tiger. They could only watch helplessly as their auntie was taken away by their uncle. Their eyes turned red and they shot angry stares at their father. Bada! Auntie is gone. If the Bada had not stopped him and Er Bao, they would have saved their auntie. Miao Jing could not help but laugh at the cute look on De Bao's and Er Bao's faces. De Bao, Er Bao, don't be angry. Your auntie is still around. She will be back in a few days. He is not a baddie. Don't you remember that he is your dad? Miao Jing could understand why De Bao and Er Bao missed their auntie so much. After all, the time that Zai Hua spent with the triplets was much more than that of Zai Sheng. It was natural that they were closer to their auntie than their father. They might be young, but they were good and well behaved. They knew who was good to them. Xiao Nan let go of San Bao while she walked to stand next to her sons. De Bao, Er Bao, look at grandma. Her eyes are red. She is crying. Do you want to comfort her? De Bao and Er Bao turned to look at their grandma. Their attention was now on their grandma. They noticed that their grandma looked teary-eyed. De Bao was very sensible. He reached out his tiny hands to wipe the tears off Miao Jing's face. Don't cry. I am here. With that, De Bao pouted his lips and kissed Miao Jing on the left cheek. Er Bao did not want to lose out. He kissed Miao Jing on her right cheek and gave her a hug. Miao Jing felt touched that her grandsons kissed her to comfort her. I am all right. I am very happy. I have De Bao and Er Bao to keep me company. In the future, De Bao and Er Bao must be good to me. San Bao, who stood next to Jiao Nan, noticed that her grandma did not mention her. She felt anxious. She shrugged her hand away from her mother and ran toward her grandma. She hugged her leg. Grandma, San Bao loves grandma. Yes, I love San Bao as well. I love De Bao and Er Bao too. I love the three of you. I love you so much. Miao Jing felt contented to have the love of the three children. She should not be sad that her daughter was getting married. She still had three little darlings with her. Zai Yai watched as the triplets coaxed his wife. He walked happily toward them and carried his eldest grandson. De Bao is awesome. In the future, you must spend more time with your grandma. If she cries, you must help me console her, will you? Miao Miao really loved the triplets. She loved them more than Hua Hua. Chapter 1326 Having meager benefits was better than nothing. Parents would always be like this. If their daughter was no longer young but she was still single, they would be worried sick and hope that she would find a suitable partner as soon as possible and settle down. But when the day really came, the mother would be tearing uncontrollably. Luckily, he had 3 little helpers with him. Meow Meow stopped crying and was laughing heartily. The triplets are so obedient. Nan Nan is a good child. She taught her children to be well behaved as well. Xiao Dongliang could tell that the triplets were well behaved and sweet. He was very envious. He could not help but wonder if he stayed closer to Xiao Nan and her children and spent more time with them every day, would his grandchildren be just as close to him as they were to Madame Zai? As he grew older, Xiao Dongliang longed for the days where he could play with his grandchildren and spend time with his family. When they were at a young age, Xiao Zijin was good with words while Xiao Nan was reserved. Xiao Dongliang had his happy days as a father. Now that his daughters had grown up, he was glad that his younger daughter was caring and filial to him. But she got married not long after. After her marriage, he wanted to be responsible to his elder daughter, hoping that she would find her happiness like her sister, but he never expected that. Right now, his obedient younger daughter was no longer close to him, while the elder daughter was selfish and had eyes for no one else. Although he had 2 daughters, it was equivalent to not having any. What Xiao Dongliang wished for right now was to be close to the triplets and to be able to take care of them. However, although the triplets were willing to play with him and address him as their grandpa, they were not affectionate toward him. He was only treated slighter better than a stranger. Actually, it was because Xiao Nan bore a slight resemblance to Xiao Dongliang that the triplets were willing to play with Xiao Dongliang. Otherwise, although they were brave, they were cautious of strangers. This was not taught by the adults. They seemed to be wary of strangers by nature. If Xiao Nan did not bore a resemblance to Xiao Dongliang, they would not be willing to play with him. It was all the more impossible for them to be affectionate toward Xiao Dongliang. He did not stay by their side, and he did not spend time with them. It was impossible for them to be close to him. What are you looking at? Xiao Dongliang, who was lost in thoughts, came back to his senses. He noticed that Ding Ji and Xiao Zijin kept staring at Zihua's fleet of bridal cars. From the sparkle in their eyes, he could tell what they were thinking of. Forget it. You can look at it for all you want. No matter what, they could only watch the fleet of bridal cars enviously as they would not have such treatment. Xiao Zijin's nostrils flared slightly. She seemed to be angry. When Xiao Nan married Zai Shang 2 years ago, her wedding was just as grand as Zihua's wedding today. Xiao Nan was a nobody while Zihua was the only daughter of Chief Zai. She had no right to have such a grand wedding as Zihua. Xiao Zijin could not take this lying down as she knew that when she got married, her wedding could not be compared to Xiao Nan's and Zihua's weddings. It was not even comparable. A woman would only marry once in a lifetime, and there would only be such a grand wedding once in a lifetime. Why was it that Xiao Nan and Zihua could have a grand wedding and for everyone to be envious of, while she had to marry quietly and no one would be envious of her? She and Xiao Nan had the same parents. Why was she treated so differently from Xiao Nan? Xiao Zijin could not accept what Xiao Dongliang said. It was unfair that Xiao Nan could have a grand wedding while she could only watch enviously. Xiao Dongliang smiled at Xiao Zijin's snort. Feeling unconvinced? Then, you have to work harder. There is no way that we could give you whatever you want. Like what you have said 6 to 7 years ago, I am useless. You have to depend on yourself to get what you want. It is useless to depend on a helpless father like me. When he first heard of Xiao Zijin's description of him after he was in an accident and had to be hospitalized, he was heartbroken. He even suspected that he must have heard wrongly. Otherwise, how could the caring elder daughter say such cold and harsh words? It was very cruel to say that to a father. But today, Xiao Dongliang was used to it. He would use this occasionally to shut Xiao Zijin up. Qiao Zijin might be thinking the same thoughts, but she dared not say it in front of Qiao Dongliang or admit it. She smiled, feeling embarrassed. Dad, what are you saying? Why would you have such thoughts? I am your daughter. You will definitely dote on me. Let's not talk about being capable or not. Let's just live according to our means. Let's not make things complicated. Having meager benefits was better than nothing. Qiao Zijin did not wish to have the same treatment as Qiao Nan when she got married. She did not want to be ignored by her parental family or be treated as if she was not related to her parental family at all, while it seemed that it was her neighbor who married off the daughter. Her father might not be able to provide her with a lot of money, but she would not reject any amount of money that he would give her. Qiao Dongliang smiled. There was no warmth in his smile. All right, I will remember what you have said today. We should live according to our means. This is a good idea. From today onward, even if he had 1 cent in his pocket, he would find the chance to spend it on his grandchildren. He would not keep any money with him. By the time Zijin got married, he might have no money, but he would contribute his labor. His daughter had already said so. If he really did that in the future, his elder daughter could not criticize or find fault with him. Qiao Dongliang could tell what Qiao Zijin was thinking about. But Qiao Zijin, who was inexperienced in life, could not really understand her father's words. Well, it would be very good if Dad could do that. I understand the family's situation. All right, let's not talk about this. I don't even have a boyfriend. It's too far to talk about marriage. Today is Sister Hua Hua's big day. We still have to attend the wedding banquet at the hotel later. Qiao Zijin did not know what her father meant. It was better to change the topic so that she would not make more mistakes. She also hoped that she was wrong and that she had been thinking too much. She was hoping to herself that her father did not mean anything. With that, Qiao Zijin walked to stand next to Ding Jiyi. She pulled at her clothes, hoping that Ding Jiyi would put in a good word for her so that her father would not keep targeting her. It had been 2 years. Her father only met Qiao Nan twice in these 2 years. Qiao Nan did not spend as much time with her father as compared to her. Chapter 1327 Not close at all. Why was her father biased toward Qiao Nan but being eccentric toward her? What was the reason behind this? Ding Jiyi looked at Qiao Zijin, feeling a headache. Zihua had left. The time is getting late. We should go to the wedding banquet. Let's talk about the rest later. It was useless to talk about this. Since many years ago, old Qiao had not been listening to her. Her words would not have any impact. Even if Zijin asked her for help, it was useless. She was helpless. Actually, compared to the fleet of limousine bridal cars that attracted the attention of young ladies, she was more interested to know what the dishes would be for the wedding banquet that was held in the capital. She wondered whether it would be especially delicious. She must eat to her heart's content. No matter what, the Qiao family of 3 was the parental family of Qiao Nan. Therefore, someone would send them to the venue of the wedding banquet. Ding Jiyi was in awe as she sat in the car. She kept looking around and touched different parts of the car. Qiao Dongliang had taken rides in the Chen family's car and the Shi family's car. Ding Jiyi did not have any experience of riding in a car. This was her first time experience. Mom. Qiao Zijin felt that Ding Jiyi was too embarrassing. She pulled at her hand. There will be many chances in the future. We might have a car, and by then, you can look around in whatever way that you want. It is impossible that we will have a car at home. Ding Jiyi rebutted matter-of-factly. It is already good enough if we have a motorcycle at home. She could not imagine having a car at home. Moreover, if they had a car, who would drive it? Who would be able to afford it? They were not well-to-do. They should not be thinking about cars. It was better to have the money with them. This was more practical. The Chiao family of 3 only needed to pay for their train tickets to the capital and back home. The Zai family had taken care of all other expenses. However, to Ding Ji, it was not enough. Chiao Zijin would graduate in half a year. When she graduated, she would need some money in order to join a better company. Moreover, after she graduated, she should find a boyfriend and get married. Ding Ji could not afford to provide an expensive dowry for her, but at the very least, she still needed to prepare some dowry for her. Ding Ji had no wish to fork out a single cent to prepare a dowry for Chiao Zijin. She would not pay for it while Chiao Dongliang did not have any money. The only way was for Ding Ji to get the money from Chiao Nan. If she was able to get a large sum of money from Chiao Nan, perhaps she would have some money for herself after she prepared a dowry for Chiao Zijin. Zijin, you will graduate in half a year. One must be practical. It is no use to make a good impression but lead a hard life. Ding Ji could tell that Chiao Zijin was envious that Zihua had a grand wedding, and she hoped that she would have a grand wedding as well. If their family was well-to-do, Ding Ji was willing to go along with her daughter. But if they did not have the ability, Ding Ji was not willing to puff herself up at her own cost. Zijin, remember my words. No matter how grand the wedding is, it is useless. They are just for appearance's sake. Nothing is better than keeping the money in your pocket. Chiao Zijin pursed her lips. She might be unhappy but she did not rebut her mother. Mom, I understand. I am merely watching the fun. Back then, during Nan Nan's wedding, she had a grander wedding. She has such a good life. Chiao Nan had a grand wedding, while she did not have the right to have a grand wedding. Instead, she was told that she must be practical. The Chiao family of 3 had no idea of the family background of the Tian family and Tiandong. Given the Zai family's status, it was already a surprise for them to accept Chiao Nan as their daughter-in-law. Now that it was Zihua's turn to get married, their guess was that the groom would have a similar family background. If the Zai family could accept a son-in-law who was not as well-to-do as them, Zihua could have married the man by the name of Wei Dai, and Tiandong would not be the groom today. But when Chiao Zijin reached the venue, she finally realized how well-to-do Zihua's husband was. When people held the wedding ceremony in the countryside, they were used to setting up tents outdoors and hiring a few chefs who had good culinary skills to prepare the wedding dinner. Chiao Zijin was used to attending wedding banquets in such an environment. However, Zihua's and Tiandong's wedding banquet was totally different. It was held in a grand wedding hall. The floor was tiled, and one could see one's reflection clearly from the clean and sparkling tiles. The chandeliers were mounted on the ceilings. They were beautiful and sophisticated, sparkling and glittering brightly. Colorful ribbons were tied around it, and the balloons that were floating in the air made the atmosphere romantic and blissful. Apart from the fascinating floor tiles, Chiao Zijin was further impressed by the thick carpet that covered the dining hall. It was soft to the touch and there was a huge wedding photo of Zihua and the groom at the entrance to the wedding hall. Chiao Zijin had seen Zihua before. But this was the first time that she had a chance to scrutinize the groom from up close. Zihua, who wore a wedding gown, looked more feminine and less like a soldier. She was beautiful and stunning. As for the groom, he was tall and well-built and had the perfect body proportions of a model. He had the looks and the build. Ding Ji, who was already in her 40s, could not help but sigh in awe at the groom. One really cannot tell that the man that married Zihua today is so good-looking. He is just as handsome as Zai Sheng. Such a good-looking fellow ended up marrying a tomboy like Zihua. The situation was similar to a beautiful woman marrying an ugly man. Old Chiao, how much do you think all these will cost? They are beautiful indeed, but they are useless. Everything will be thrown away after the wedding. Ding Ji looked at the ribbons and the colorful balloons curiously. She loved the special decorations, but at the same time, her heart pained at the amount of money that was wasted on these decorations. If all the money was put aside and become theirs, how much would it amount to? Old Chiao, who do you think paid for this? The Zai family or the groom's family? Xiao Dongliang could not be bothered with Ding Ji. But Ding Ji was too embarrassing. It doesn't matter who paid for it. It doesn't concern you. Ding Ji's eyes swirled with thoughts. Xiao Nan is the Zai family's daughter-in-law and she gave birth to 2 grandsons. Everything in the Zai family will belong to my 2 maternal grandsons in the future. When they grow up, they will definitely be filial to me. Therefore, all the money belongs to my grandsons. The money that they spent is the money that my grandsons will be using to be filial to me in the future. How can I watch without doing anything? Ding Ji almost said that the money the Zai family had actually belonged to her grandsons, while her grandsons' money belonged to her. Xiao Zijan's eyes lit up, but she calmed down very quickly. Her mother painted a beautiful picture, and it worked to her advantage. The problem was that Xiao Nan, who was brought up and bullied by her mother, refused to listen to her mother anymore. Chapter 1328 Dad, let's have a good cha. De Bao and Er Bao grew up without Ding Ji by their side, and they were not close to her. It was impossible that they would give all their money to their maternal grandma and be filial to her. It was all right to daydream, but one must look at the facts as well. Mom, lower your volume. Look, someone is laughing at you. Xiao Zijan reminded Ding Ji to watch her behavior. Mom, given your behavior, once they know that I am your daughter, who will be willing to make friends with me? Or to start a relationship? Since Xiao Nan refused to introduce a boyfriend to her, her intention was to attend Sai Hua's wedding and source for wealthy boyfriends. Her mother had ruined the Xiao family's reputation, and she was not as lucky as Xiao Nan. She had a mother-in-law who was willing to accept her despite knowing that she came from a messy family. Miao Jing was the only mother-in-law in the world who was willing to accept such a daughter-in-law, and Xiao Nan was lucky to know her. Ding Ji behaved herself as soon as she was reminded that they were here today to look for a future son-in-law. She no longer looked around. Even when she saw beautiful ornaments, she would control her greedy nature and shifted her gaze away so that no one could tell what was on her mind. But even so, the Qiao family of 3, especially Ding Ji, had left a deep impression on the other guests. Who are those 3 people? Whose relatives are they? I have never heard of them. Has anyone heard of them before? Everyone would be mindful of the occasion and watch themselves, yet this woman had nothing to talk about except money. She must have come out from the dark corners. I don't know her. She could not have been the groom's relatives. What about the bride? I heard that they are the parental family of the Zai family's daughter-in-law who was from a humble background. They turned out to be her parental family. I never expected that such an outstanding child will come from such a family. I thought that the daughter-in-law of the Zai family has no shortcomings. Well, I guess she will be laughed at for having such a family. The family only has eyes for money. No one was perfect. The daughter-in-law of the Zai family might have come from a humble background and was outstanding, but she had a disappointing parental family. Xiao Nan had been too outstanding. No one was able to get hold of the chink in her armor. Everyone felt unhappy that Xiao Nan, who was from a humble background, did better than their children. Today, everyone was watching the fun and was glad that they finally got hold of the chink in Xiao Nan's armor. They would watch the Qiao family of 3 closely, hoping that they would catch them doing more foolish and ridiculous actions so that they could make use of this to ridicule the daughter-in-law of the Zai family. Xiao Dongliang's face turned red. He was infuriated as Xiao Nan's reputation was affected because of Ding Ji. He gave her a glare. You have 2 options. First, from now onward, keep quiet and go back home with me after finishing the meal. Second, if you dare to utter another word since you have already embarrassed Nan, I will drag you out of the hall. When she heard the first option, Ding Ji thought to herself that she refused to leave. She was indeed the poor parental family of the Zai family's daughter-in-law. She did not have good food at home and she was here to eat to her heart's content. Ding Ji only prepared a red packet that contained 10 yuan. However, when she heard the second option, she dared not say another word. She was weaker than Xiao Dongliang. If he was determined to drag her, she would not be able to stop him, and if nobody helped her, she would not be able to have the meal that she had been anticipating. Ding Ji was determined to finish the meal so that she could return to Pingcheng and brag to her neighbors. She gave birth to Jiao Nan. There was no way that Jiao Nan could be rid of her in this lifetime. Jiao Nan married well and she must make sure to bask in her glory. Look, she was able to have a good meal in the capital. If anyone dared to laugh at her and infuriate her, she might get her son-in-law to deal with them. One thing that Ding Ji was most skilled in was to bully people by flaunting her powerful connections. However, if Jiao Dongliang dragged her away, she would not be able to have the meal and she could not brag to her neighbors. Furthermore, not only was she here to have a meal, but she also wanted to make use of the mealtime for Xiao Zijin to get to know suitable partners who were good-looking and fairly well-to-do. Ding Ji finally shut her mouth up, but it did not change the way other people looked at them. Xiao Zijin had a terrible headache. She did not feel like acknowledging that Ding Ji was her mother. It was all right that she was of no help. But why did she have to mess up her plans when she finally came up with one? Xiao Zijin stood further away from Ding Ji and leaned closer to Xiao Dongliang. Dad, what do you think I should do now? Xiao Zijin felt weary that she was lost for words. All the suitable men of her age stood distances away from her. Dad, aren't you most concerned about my happiness? You are the only one who can help me now. Xiao Dongliang gave a scornful smile. I am not capable to help you. Isn't it good enough that I didn't drag you down like your mom? Since when did he become a capable father? It was surprising indeed. Dad, can we go out and find a place to have a good chat? I feel that you seem to have a misunderstanding with me. If not, her father would not be so eccentric. Is it just a misunderstanding? Xiao Dongliang asked her instead. All right, let's have a chat. It was a good idea to find somewhere quiet to talk. At least, Xiao Zijin and Ding Ji would be away from the crowd and they would no longer shame Nan Nan. Xiao Dongliang and Xiao Zijin walked to another place, and Ding Ji hurried to catch up with them. She had no wish to stay in the same place by herself and be scrutinized by other guests as if she was an oddball. What are you talking about? The food will be served in a while. Don't worry. You will have your share. Xiao Dongliang was not familiar with the hotel. This was his first time in the capital. But he used to be a soldier. He had better observing skills than other people. He found a place that was suitable for them to have a chat in no time. All right, say your piece. Xiao Dongliang smiled, feeling the irony of it. As a family, they spent a lot of time at home, but they never thought of finding a place to sit down and have a good talk. Now that they were outside, they wanted to have a chat to clear up the misunderstanding. The elder daughter wanting to have a good talk was not because the misunderstanding had affected their relationship. Instead, it was because it had affected her plans. Dad, are you angry at me? Or are you upset with anything that I have done or said? Chapter 1329 You can make a choice. We are one family, and you are my dad. If I am in the wrong, you can tell me and I will change. At least, she must please her father while they were in the capital. She already had a mother who was reckless and of no help. Her father must not ignore her and not offer his help. Xiao Zijin knew that her plan would not work if she had no one to help her in the capital. She could not do it by herself. Even if she did not need Jiao Nan to make the introductions and relied on her own efforts to find a boyfriend who came from a good background. The attitude of the Zai family toward her would be very crucial when they were at the stage of marriage. At this time, her father played a key role. Change? Will you listen to me and change? Xiao Dongliang did not believe her words. It has been so many years. This is not the first time that I commented about your shortcomings. You could not be bothered with it when I mentioned them in the past. If I mention it now, at most, it will be another chance for you to dismiss me. When we return home, you will revert to your old ways. We all know very well about this. Forget it. It's meaningless. At the end of the day, Xiao Dongliang only felt that he was a miserable father. He had foolishly hurt Nan's feelings because of such a daughter. One only learned from one's mistake. Although Xiao Dongliang knew that Xiao Zijin was such a daughter and that she would not change, Xiao Dongliang had no intention of going to the capital, spending more time with his grandchildren, and staying close to his daughter. Right now, Xiao Dongliang did not even have any confidence in himself. He was afraid that after a period of time, when he saw that Xiao Nan was doing well while Xiao Zijin was sloughing her guts out, he would be soft-hearted and say hurtful words to Xiao Nan, doing things that would put her in a difficult position and hurt her feelings. Since he could not stop himself from making such a mistake, it was best to keep a distance from his daughter and grandchildren so as to reduce the probability of this happening as much as possible. Xiao Zijin widened her eyes and gritted her teeth. Dad, what do you mean by this? Are you saying that there is no way that we can talk about this? You know what kind of person I am. You should understand that as long as I don't get what I want, I won't be content with my current situation and Xiao Nan won't be able to lead a peaceful life either. To Xiao Zijin, Xiao Dongliang was committing the same mistake again. It seemed that her father would be biased toward her when he spent more time with Xiao Nan. But when he spent more time with her, he would feel guilty toward Xiao Nan again. He kept changing his mind and his stand. He was even more unreasonable than a woman. Xiao Dongliang stiffened. What do you want? Xiao Dongliang continued. I would advise you to be more practical. It is unnecessary to say those nice but useless words. They knew very well what kind of person each one was, particularly Xiao Dongliang. He knew Xiao Zijin very well. All right, let's cut to the point. Xiao Zijin trembled in anger. Her father said such hurtful words. She did not do any outrageous acts. There was no need for her father to look at her with such an expression. Xiao Zijin took a deep breath and stifled the pain. Let me be direct. I want to marry into a good family. You must help me. If not, as long as I remain unmarried, I will definitely disturb Xiao Nan. Even if she will not accede to my requests, as long as I am around, I will make sure that it is pandemonium for her. She will not have a good life ahead. She was merely a nobody. She was unable to hurt Xiao Nan or give her a harsh lesson. It did not matter. A nobody had her way to do things. She could be a scoundrel and act shamelessly, making life difficult for her. She did not believe that Xiao Nan would not be affected. Xiao Zijin felt strangely satisfied that Xiao Dongliang was angered by her. He widened his eyes like an enraged tiger and his face was flushed. If you don't want me to do this, you should help me accordingly so that I can realize my dream. I can assure you that once I am married to a good man, I will no longer find trouble with Xiao Nan. How can I believe you? Xiao Zijin had already threatened him, so how could he believe her words? Carnal cravings are never satisfied and are the main obstruction on the path to enlightenment. By the time you marry into a good family, you will wish for your husband and your in-laws to do better in life. By the time you have children of your own, you will want to give them the best education, the best teachers, and the best job in society. He, I can't help you with your request. Because no matter how I help you, you won't be satisfied. Ding Ji turned pale as she stood by the side, watching as the father and daughter quarreled with each other. The atmosphere was hostile and they treated each other as their enemies. What's with the two of you? Why did you say all this nonsense? We are one family. Old Xiao, Zijin is our daughter. It is our wish for her to marry well and lead a good life. Zijin, he is your dad. He raised you and took care of you. How could you use that attitude with him and threaten him? Xiao Zijin smirked, mocking Ding Ji. Mom, stop it. Save your time and don't shame yourself by saying this. It will be better if you keep quiet. We have never been a harmonious family. Do you think it is suitable to say that we are one family and are blood related? We have never been close to each other. It is so ridiculous. Qiao Zijin was perplexed. It was her mother who caused the family to be torn apart and for her to view everything based on her own benefits. She was the one who made them be a cold and indifferent family, yet she was talking about kinships and family ties. After lecturing Ding Ji, Qiao Zijin looked toward Qiao Dongliang. There is a difference. I don't deny that I want a lot of things. But after going through so many hardships, I realized that the only person that I can rely on in this world is no one but myself. Whatever that you have said just now, if needed, I will find a way out by myself. I will not ask you for help. I can swear today that I will not ask Xiao Nan for help in the future as well. She had a lot in mind, but the first step was to find a good husband and in-laws for herself. If you help me, then you can make appropriate suggestions according to Xiao Nan's situation. I will not stop you from making considerations for Xiao Nan while helping me. On the contrary, if you don't want to help me and leave me to make a din, then I can only say sorry. In order for me to obtain my goal, I might make it difficult for Xiao Nan to survive in the capital. This is totally out of my consideration. Dad, have you come to a decision? Chapter 1330 exploded in anger. Qiao Zijin knew that she would not be able to find good in-laws by herself. Given her social circle, she would never be able to meet the man that she wanted to have. In this family, apart from Qiao Nan, Qiao Dongliang was the only one who would be able to help her. The Zhu family, the Shi family, and the Zai family had moved to the capital. Most of the established families that her father knew were no longer in Pingcheng. But luckily, the Li family who had old ties with the Qiao family was still in Pingcheng. If Qiao Nan did not help her, Qiao Zijin could only rely on Qiao Dongliang, her father. Qiao Dongliang did not have much response to Qiao Zijin's words. He kept silent and did not say a word. Seeing that Qiao Dongliang could not make up his mind, Qiao Zijin continued. I know that you no longer regard me as your daughter. No matter what I say, you will take it as a pack of lies. Right now, you have two choices. You can choose not to help me, but before we return to Pingcheng, I believe I have the ability to make it such that Qiao Nan becomes famous in the capital for having the Qiao family as her parental family. No matter how well she has been doing previously, once something happens, she will become a laughingstock. Perhaps, someone will use this to make trouble for the Zai family, particularly Zai Sheng, as well. The second option will be to trust me just this once. I might have wanted all those that you said, but it will only happen a few years later. If you don't calm me down, I might embarrass Qiao Nan right now. Qiao Nan will graduate and work in a few years. If she does well, she will establish her foothold in the capital. By then, even if I make a din, I will not pose a disturbance to her and I will merely be gossiped about by people during their leisure time. In other words, she was just one of the small fry among rascals. She would not be able to cause big harm to Qiao Nan. A few years would make a lot of difference to the Zai family and Qiao Nan. Qiao Nan was married and was a mother of 3. Zai Hua, who was no longer young but still single and was deemed as someone who would not get married in Pingcheng Quad, finally got married. Seeing that they had been happily married, Qiao Zijin, who had never worried about marriage, could not wait to get a husband. Qiao Dongliang seemed to be lost in thought, but in actual fact, only a minute had passed. All right, I can help you, but not in the capital. As for Pingcheng, I can give it a try. Don't be in a hurry to haggle with me. Even if I agree to help you, you should understand that my abilities are only limited to Pingcheng. If you still want to marry to the capital, you should not look for me but make use of me such that Nan Nan will help you. If so, all that you said just now is useless. There is no need for us to continue with this conversation. It was indeed better for him if Zijin was married to the capital, as she would not bring too much trouble for him. However, Nan Nan would be faced with endless troubles. He would never agree to it. This was not the answer that Jiao Zijin wanted to hear. However, she was left with no choice. You might choose not to believe me, but I might not listen to you either. What if I behave myself during this period of time and you refuse to help me when we return to Pingcheng? By then, she would gain nothing eventually, and she had to watch helplessly as Qiao Nan's life became better and she did not have the chance to make life difficult for her. Qiao Dongliang felt slightly annoyed. Do you think if you make a din in the capital, you will be able to find a boyfriend? No matter what, you are my daughter. Although I am not willing to help you, I will not want to see you lead a miserable life. You can either choose to believe that I will help think of a solution when we return to Pingcheng and I will get help from other people, or you can continue to make a din in the capital such that Nan Nan refuses to acknowledge you as her sister. And everyone in the capital know that you are on bad terms with each other. By then, they will not give respect to your feelings because of Nan Nan, and they might even teach you a lesson. You can choose to continue to be obstinate. Qiao Dongliang would not give a definite answer to something that had not been done yet. He did not want the other party to be disappointed. However, you must bear in mind that once you do that, and Nan Nan stops acknowledging you as her sister publicly, I will no longer regard you as my daughter. If things came to that state, he would stand on Nan Nan's side regardless of what happened and he would not put in a good word for the elder daughter. Since a young age, Nan Nan suffered more than you, or rather, she was the one who was shortchanged. Even so, she did not force me to choose between the two of you. If you insist to go to the extreme, it is akin to pushing me toward her. I will make good on my words. You should know that if I really stand on Nan Nan's side, whatever that you do in the future will lose its impact. If siblings quarreled, the bystanders would judge them based on their words and the circumstances. However, once the elders were involved, the general public would be inclined to believe the party whom the elders supported. If the other party continued to make a din, she would be seen as opposing the elders. Qiao Zijin stomped her foot unhappily. Ding Ji, who stood by the side, felt sorry for her. Zijin, why you must not say these words to your dad? You must be filial. Your dad went through great pains to raise you. Shut up! Zijin hollered at Ding Ji with resentment. Are you saying that dad went through great pains to bring me up and hence I can't behave in this way? Who is the one who told me when I was at a young age that my dad is useless? He is on good terms with the Li family but he could not get the old master at the Li family to get him a promotion in the army. My dad has 2 children, but he is so useless that he had to discharge from the army. If he is capable, he should be promoted even when he had 2 children. Who is the one who told me that my dad is useless and couldn't earn big money? If not for you who did a good job managing the small amount of money, Qiao Nan and I wouldn't be able to go to school, and we would not be able to feed ourselves. Who told me that my dad is a useless man who can't feed his wife and his children? In the end, who told me that when I grow up, I must make sure to find a good man, and I must not follow your footsteps to find someone who is poor, without any power and status like my dad? I must use all means and ways to find a man who is rich, powerful, and has high social status. By then, I must remember that you have been through great pains, have suffered a lot, and have given in to my dad to bring me up. If I do not treat you well, I will be a heartless person.